The narrative opens in the thick of an intense battle, with soldiers shouting to take down Road and branding the boy a monster for employing forbidden arts. Just then, the main character appears, flying atop his shadow dragon. Collecting aura, he introduces himself as the very monster everyone is talking about. He then lands directly in front of the enemy army, reflecting on how they call him a monster for one simple reason: he is the sole necromancer in the entire world. Following that, a clash between an army of the undead and humans is about to commence, with the skeleton army charging forward with everything they have. On the opposite side, the humans are out for blood, desperate for the protagonist's downfall. Mages within the human army begin chanting a fire spell, declaring that there is no place in the world for such forbidden magic, and a rain of fiery meteors starts plunging straight towards Road. Showing no fear whatsoever, he decides to test a mysterious forbidden spell against all of them. Unexpectedly, he wakes up in an unfamiliar place where someone is addressing him as Young Master Road. Confused, he notices his maid, Leah, looking at him with concern, as she lets him know that it is already time for breakfast. Upon touching the mirror, Road realizes that something strange is going on. Looking at his reflection, he discovers he has traveled 20 years back into the past. He remembers that in his previous life at 32 years old, he reincarnated into another world. In that place, he became the ultimate necromancer and the most powerful mage, commanding an unbeatable undead army. RH recalls that they tried to eliminate him and that he ended up returning to the past by using a mysterious spell. Seeing that he is lost in thought, Leah tells him to hurry up, warning that the Lord will punish him if he is late. Road apologizes to Leah and says he is heading out right now. The maid is surprised, wondering if that boy who apologized and smiled is really the same cold young master from before. Walking down the hallway, Road remembers he is the youngest son of a ruined noble family previously known for being spoiled and lazy. He remembers how his family fell apart in the past and how everyone met their end while he stood by helpless. Even though he lost his powers, he still holds all his necromancer memories and vows to change everyone's destiny. After that, Road enters the dining room and finds his family gathered together. Baron Shiro Morris asks if his son is late again just to make excuses and skip his studies, but the MC apologizes to his father, stating he has no intention of missing his lessons, promising not to skip a single class, all while thinking it had been years since he last saw his father's angry face. Afterward, Road wonders how such a strict family went bankrupt and resolves to uncover the whole truth behind it. His older brother Leo says he cannot stay this relaxed if he ever wants to inherit the family leadership. But his sister Sif steps in, asking Leo not to be so hard on him, reminding him that Leo is the eldest. Sif offers food to Road, who thanks her, thinking about how she is still as kind as ever. He remembers that Sif suffered a terrible fate after a political marriage and vows never to let history repeat itself. Someone then enters the room. That woman is Lady Della Morris, and she coldly asks if Road is late yet again. Sif tries to protect her brother, lying that it was her fault for keeping him up late with magic lessons. However, Della tells Sif to keep quiet and stop making pathetic excuses for her brother. Della warns that her patience has run out, giving him a 1-week ultimatum to master magic or face expulsion from the family. Sif panics over the short deadline, stating that even their prodigy brother took a full month to achieve that. But the woman refuses to hear it, threatening to strip Sif of her family name if she keeps defending the youngest child. Following the threat, Sif looks down, replying that she would never dare do such a thing. Interrupting the argument, the MC accepts the 1-week challenge, leaving Sif frantic that he agreed to something so absurd. However, he remains confident, asking his mother what his reward will be if he meets the goal. Della says that if he actually pulls it off, she will grant any request he has. Hearing that, the MC strikes the deal on the spot, requesting permission to enter the Tomb of Heroes once he succeeds. The MC's father is caught off guard by the boy's proposal. He then agrees to the terms, stating that if the boy masters magic in 1 week, he will grant him entry to the Tomb of Heroes. Della remarks that a useless slacker like him would never be worthy of the hero's blessing, telling him to start packing his bags instead. Once outside, Sif runs after Road, asking why he did not just apologize to their mother instead of taking the challenge. She notes that his laziness deeply upset their mother, adding that even their genius brother Leo could not master magic in just 1 single week. Sif mentions she saved up a good amount of money over the years to ensure he lives comfortably in the kingdom, even if he gets kicked out. Right after, she runs off to grab the money, while the MC thinks she could at least have a little faith in her own brother's abilities. Yet he admits that if he had not reincarnated with all his past experience, he would not believe he could surpass Leo either. Determined to change his family's future, Road knows it is time to take action. He plans to use the Tomb of Heroes to summon the undead, remembering that a legendary figure rests asleep in that place. But for now, he decides to settle for the boss monster living in the forest right behind the family castle. Shortly after, the MC finds the remains of a giant beast known as the Earth Splitter Alpha. He notices that his current body's mana is extremely weak. Realizing just how much he neglected his training in the past, he remembers that magic power and classes in this world are divided into 8 major mana tiers. He recalls that legendary mages made history, but he himself had already surpassed all those tiers, being the strongest of them all. With his current mana, he can only summon one undead creature, but that will be more than enough to impress his mother. Road extends his hand, commanding his new servant to awaken from its eternal slumber, and demands the creature bow before his supreme power. The ground begins to shatter, and a massive claw emerges from below until finally the beast breaks completely free. The monster slowly approaches Road, then kneels before the boy, swearing loyalty as his new servant. The MC inspects the creature with mana visible in his eyes. He discovers it is an undead beast possessing destructive fire and earth abilities. He explains that a necromancer can use his servant's abilities, which will be perfect to prove he has mastered magic. Next, he fires a spell toward a tree, easily blasting a hole right through the middle of the trunk. The monster praises its master's strength, while Road thinks that level of power is not bad at all. He recalls the creature, noticing that with his low mana pool, maintaining the summon drains almost all his energy. Still, the MC knows this power is more than enough to hush his demanding mother. After that, he recalls that the Tomb of Heroes is an ancient sacred site where the powers of past warriors were sealed away. In that place, the souls of heroes welcomed talented youth to grant them magic blessings, making access to the tomb everyone's dream. Road remembers his brother Leo earned a blessing and became a war hero, which made their mother despise Road even more. However, he reveals his plan is not to get a regular blessing, but rather the legendary being asleep inside. Arriving at the kingdom's noble academy, someone shouts the MC's name loudly. Sif is annoyed that he disappeared, complaining she told him to wait for her. She then advises him to keep cool so he does not upset their mother, saying she will beg on his behalf, but RH tells her not to worry, promising he will not be kicked out of the family under any circumstances and would never abandon his beloved sister. Despite those confident words, Sif remains a bit anxious. At that moment, the maid appears, announcing that the young master's magic class is about to start. Road asks Leah to lead the way to the classroom. Sif stays deeply concerned, thinking that talk is cheap if even Leo could not do it, deciding she must still plead with their mother. Entering the classroom, the MC finds himself surrounded by several other students from noble families. The youngest son of Baron Ant begins mocking him in front of everyone, saying the slacker who always skips class finally showed up. The other students in the room laugh, finding amusement in the humiliation. However, the teacher cuts the mocking short, stating, "Class has started," and ordering Road to take his seat immediately. The MC recalls how he was humiliated every single day for lacking mana control, seeing that nothing has changed. He then bows to Professor Regu, wishing him a good morning and apologizing for being late. The teacher is surprised by the boy's manners, wondering if he really just apologized since that is completely out of character for him. Road walks calmly to his desk under the suspicious glare of the arrogant boy who taunted him earlier. The smug kid huffs in frustration, thinking the MC is nothing but a big hypocrite. The teacher begins the lesson explaining that mana is a mysterious force, and magic is how they control it. He details that after mastering mana, students will specialize in classes like mages, healers, or assassins. The teacher adds that everyone starts as an apprentice and can climb the ranks all the way to grand mages. A curious female student raises her hand, asking the teacher about the legendary mage tier. He answers that those mages are living myths and symbols of their nations, representing the ultimate dream for any magic practitioner. The master laments that today they only exist in legends, revealing that the kingdom of Tatis has not produced a legendary mage in 700 years. He warns that everyone must focus on mastering basic mana to secure their place in society, especially before turning 13. The troublemaker points his finger, stating, "There seems to be only one person in the room who still has not mastered mana." He looks straight at Road, mocking the fact that the MC has studied there for 3 years and still knows nothing. Road answers coldly that it is none of his business, asserting he will master everything in just 1 week. The bully bursts into laughter, shouting for the whole class to hear that the slacker promised to learn magic in a single week. Other students in the back start laughing and whispering, amused by Road's audacity. Even the teacher looks disappointed, thinking the boy is still just an arrogant, boastful kid. Road thinks it would be easy to showcase his power right now, but prefers to wait until the end of the week so he does not startle everyone. When night falls, Sif goes to her mother's room for a serious talk. Della drinks her tea peacefully, asking what brings her daughter there at such a late hour. Sif bows, begging from the heart for her mother not to cast her youngest brother out of the family no matter what. Her mother slams her teacup on the table forcefully, asking angrily why she keeps standing up for that good-for-nothing. Della states that despite being broke, they still hold noble pride, reminding her that the other children learned magic very early on. She adds that Rode is already 12 years old and there is no room for a lazy slacker like him. Della points her finger sternly, warning that the matter is closed and there is nothing left to discuss. Scythe keeps her head down, unsure of what to do to save her dear little brother from punishment. On the 7th day, everyone gathers in the courtyard and the teacher announces he will conduct the official test to evaluate their progress. The master points to the castle windows, warning that their families are watching everything very closely. Scythe and Della watch from the window with her mother complaining that Rode will only embarrass himself and tarnish the family name once again. Scythe stares at the courtyard with a heavy heart, wondering if her brother can truly pull off a win. Rode's rival celebrates excitedly, saying he was counting down the days to see the MC fail miserably. He steps forward arrogantly, declaring he will show the slacker what real magic looks like. The boy readies himself, stating he will specialize as an elemental mage and unleashes a blast of fire. The fireball flies toward a heavy stone slab in the school courtyard. The spell hits the target with precision, covering the stone block in smoke and sparks. The opponent goes back to taunting Rode, claiming he will never reach that level and daring him to show his results. Unfazed by the taunts, the MC approaches the testing area with complete composure. A terrifying aura of dark energy begins to emanate from him in a chilling manner. He extends his arm toward the stone target to begin casting his spell. The arrogant boy keeps laughing and mocking, saying he can already picture the MC crying from embarrassment. A noble woman at the window asks Della if she really plans to kick her son out if he fails today's test. Della answers with contempt that a lazy boy like him only brings shame, adding, "It is better if he leaves for good." In the courtyard, the MC whispers the name of his bone servant to activate the fire spell. A colossal fury of blue flames and gigantic bones materializes in the courtyard under Rode's command. Rode decides to channel all his energy and focus the attack at maximum power to guarantee the impact. The taunting boy goes into complete shock seeing that ridiculous amount of magic power. An immense powerful torrent of blue fire is launched violently against the stone target. The impact is so devastating that it completely obliterates the massive testing block, reducing it to dust. Scythe watches from the window with her mouth open, celebrating joyfully that her brother actually pulled it off. The other students are in complete disbelief, saying it is impossible for the slacker to have done that. The experienced Professor Regu is stunned, thinking no simple apprentice could ever generate that much power. The smug boy stares at the MC, trembling with rage, unable to accept that the slacker is stronger than him. The noble woman beside Della sarcastically remarks that the lazy boy does not seem so lazy after all. Scythe points excitedly at the window, shouting for her mother to look at how Rode truly passed the challenge. In the courtyard, the MC lets out a dismissive sigh and calmly dissipates the massive blue flame creature. Scythe waves happily at her brother from the window, while Della observes everything with a quiet, thoughtful glare. Charlie Ant, the troublemaker, shouts in a rage, asking how that slacker was able to use fire magic. He points an accusing finger, screaming that Rode cheated since everyone knows the MC always skipped class. The surrounding students begin whispering among themselves, finding it hard to believe Rode cast such a powerful spell on his own. Charlie accuses Rode of stealing a magic artifact from his family's treasury to cast the spell and avoid exile. The MC slowly turns around, asking coldly what exactly young Master Charlie Ant is implying. Charlie smiles triumphantly, claiming magic tools drain a lot of mana, challenging Rode to cast the spell a second time. Ignoring his rival, Rode turns to Professor Regu, asking directly what the master's take is on the situation. The teacher regrets it, but admits to everyone that Charlie's accusation actually makes sense under the current circumstances. The students keep whispering, wondering if the MC really used a stolen item to cheat. Scythe panics at the window, fearing her brother stole the family treasury out of desperation to avoid getting kicked out. She cries in worry, knowing that if it is true, her parents will be even more disappointed in her brother. Desperate to save her younger brother from that serious accusation, she decides she must act right away. Scythe runs down to the courtyard, pleading out loud for Professor Reg not to put all the blame on Rode. She tries to lie to protect her brother, stating she was the one responsible for handing the magic artifact to him. But before she finishes speaking, the MC firmly grabs her arm to interrupt her. He gently asks Scythe to let him handle the situation himself and take control of the whole argument. Rode asks the teacher if casting the exact same powerful spell again would be proof enough that he used no artifact. The master confirms that if he can cast the fire magic repeatedly, he will prove his innocence once and for all. The MC calmly agrees and begins unleashing his magic energy in an even more overwhelming manner. The youths around begin sweating in fear, feeling that colossal magic pressure is way too intense for a beginner. With a simple command, Rode launches another massive, devastating magic blast against the stone debris. Charlie steps back, sweating in terror, realizing the slacker truly was not using any item at all. The MC does not stop there, gathering even more power in his right hand to show who is boss. He glares at his arrogant rival with a cold look, leaving his opponent completely paralyzed with fear. The remaining stone blocks disintegrate entirely under the tremendous force of the boy's consecutive strikes. Unable to handle the immense pressure, the bully collapses onto the ground, utterly terrified by the scene. One of the students asks, trembling if that imposing warrior before them is really the failure everyone used to know. Sif turns to her mother, asking if she will finally give up the idea of casting Road out of the family now. Della looks away, saying she accepts him only for now, as there will be no room for him if he goes back to being lazy. Professor Regu shouts for the whole courtyard to hear officially declaring that Road used no cheating artifacts. The day comes to an end and a beautiful sunset begins to cover the MC's family's luxurious castle. Later at the mansion, Sif and older brother Leo gather with Road to congratulate him on the big win. Road thanks them, and Leo mentions Sif has not stopped talking about the test for a single second, inviting them to eat together. The family gathers around the large dining table once again to enjoy their evening meal. The father congratulates Road, saying the teacher explained everything that happened and that he made the Morris family proud. He thanks his father, and respectfully asks if the promise made earlier regarding the Tomb of Heroes still stands. The Baron confirms it does, letting him know the tomb opens in 1 month and promising to secure a spot for his son. Della warns that getting a spot was expensive, demanding Road secure a strong blessing to make up for the sacrifice. The father adds that the boy will now receive the same privileged treatment as his siblings, telling him to train hard. Road bows respectfully, thanking his father from the bottom of his heart for the recognition. Alone, he thinks to himself that the hero's blessing is useless to him, and that he will use necromancy to crown himself king inside the tomb. He recalls an unmarked grave belonging to a legendary warrior from the primordial era, planning to turn him into his next servant. But he knows the legendary warrior's soul is fading, and his current mana is still too low to summon him right now. He smiles confidently, knowing his father's new treatment will be the perfect chance to train and boost his power. After a month of intense training, Leah opens the bedroom door, announcing the Lord wishes to see the young master immediately. The MC stands up confidently, thinking that during this time he managed to advance to the intermediate apprentice mage tier. Road feels strong enough to summon that soul while his father orders Leo to take Road to the tomb and teach him the rules. Leo accepts the task promptly, answering with firmness and respect that he will fulfill his father's command. Next, a horse-drawn carriage travels down a dirt road in the middle of the forest toward the sacred site. Inside the carriage, Leo asks Road if he knows how the hero blessing ranks work inside the tomb. The MC shows interest in the explanation, replying he is all ears to learn about the matter. Leo explains that blessings are split into 5 rarity tiers, ranging from common white to legendary red, granting immense powers. Road asks what rank Leo obtained, and his brother humbly answers he only managed to get a purple blessing. RH is surprised, knowing a purple rank is extremely high, explaining why Leo became a hero in the royal army. Sif praises her brother, saying getting any blessing is tough, and a purple one is nearly impossible, even if Leo feels weak. Sif turns anxiously to Road, advising him to give it his best shot to at least get a common white blessing. Road chuckles, telling her not to push him, thinking she would smack him if she knew he did not want a blessing at all. They finally reach the entrance of the Grand Tomb of Heroes, guarded by massive statues of armored warriors. The area is wrapped in a dark, cold, and foggy vibe filled with ancient tombstones of great warriors. Leo warns that Road will have 3 hours inside to prove his worth while he and Sif wait outside. As Road walks into the dark tomb, Sif silently thinks she would be thrilled if he got the white blessing. Sif holds her pendant close to her chest, looking full of affection and concern for her little brother's well-being. The MC walks alone through the misty cemetery surrounded by tombs of the kingdom's legendary heroes. With a confident smirk, Road thinks he has finally taken the first step of his true plan. He remembers the advice to look for the most decorated tombs as they belong to famous mages who grant rare blessings. However, the MC walks right past the large fancy tombs without showing the slightest interest in them. He acknowledges his brother's advice was not bad, but knows the true legend is hidden under an ordinary nameless grave. Road stops in front of the ancient, worn-out tombstone. Respectfully apologizing to the soul for disturbing its rest, he closes his eyes and begins casting his powerful necromancy magic to interact with the warrior's grave. With his eyes glowing with blue flames, the MC commands the ancient hero to wake up and bow before him. The soul's energy begins to violently resist the order, making the boy annoyed at the spirit's audacity. The MC asserts his supreme authority as king of the dead, declaring that every soul in this world belongs to him. An imposing figure of blue flames materializes before him, revealing itself as a legendary mystic swordsman from long ago. The MC glares at the massive phantom with a steady gaze, coldly ordering the legendary entity to take a knee. The legendary warrior spins his energy sword and bows respectfully, swearing allegiance and greeting his new master. The MC inspects the spectral entity up close, asking if the spirit still remembers its real name. The warrior admits he forgot his own name, humbly asking his master to grant him a new title. Road sports a satisfied smile at the phantom's submission, stating that from this moment on, he will have a new name. The boy names the legendary, powerful spiritual swordsman, Bone Crown. Suddenly, firm footsteps begin to echo down the stone corridor of the Tomb of Heroes. A group made up of an elderly man with glasses, a young lady with blue hair, and an armored knight walks through the cemetery. The old man states that Eleanor, being from the prestigious Ashblade family, will surely obtain at least a purple rank blessing. The knight advises young Eleanor to focus on the larger tombs to ensure she gets the absolute best power available. The young lady firmly agrees with her companion's instructions, moving forward with her search. Eleanor stops before a massive tomb decorated with an angel statue, recognizing it as the tomb of the legendary hero Illis. The girl admires the statue in awe, recalling that the hero was a formidable warrior who almost became a sage. Determined to gain the blessing of that great legend, the girl runs toward the sacred monument. But she stops abruptly as she feels a violent, terrifying shockwave of blue energy coming from nearby. The knight quickly steps in front of the girl, shouting a warning that he senses a dreadful undead energy. A massive cloud of blue spiritual smoke begins floating through the air, casting a heavy, freezing atmosphere over the area. They spot the MC off in the distance, and Eleanor is surprised to see it as just a kid in the cemetery. The guard draws his sword, asking the boy coldly if that evil undead aura came from him. The knight analyzes Road, realizing he is a beginner swordsman, and concluding the boy is no ordinary child. He warns Eleanor to be careful, suspecting the boy might be possessed by a vengeful soul from the tomb. The warrior channels electricity into his blade to prepare for battle, keeping his eyes locked on Road. Road just smirks dismissively beside his powerful new servant, sarcastically commenting on being called a vengeful spirit. Next, the MC crouches down and picks up a simple tree branch lying on the ground. Road tests the branch's weight, says it has decent balance, and orders his servant to handle the fight. The knight charges forward swiftly, unleashing a powerful electrical strike aimed at the boy. Under Road's command, the swordsman spirit blocks the knight's attack using nothing more than the small wooden branch. With a quick, precise movement, Road dodges and lands a clean strike that disarms his opponent. The knight is left in total shock. Stunned by the boy's extraordinary speed, the MC glares at him coldly under his hood, radiating an intimidating, unbeatable aura. Eleanor watches everything in shock, unable to believe a seasoned swordsman was beaten by a child using a tree branch. She studies Road, noting he seems to be around her age, wondering how he pulled off that impossible feat. Annoyed and confused, Eleanor points at the boy, demanding to know who he is and mentioning she belongs to the influential Ashblade family. Eleanor's grandfather quickly steps in, sternly scolding her and telling her to watch her mouth with the boy. The young girl gets terrified seeing her own grandfather's serious, worried reaction toward Road. Road remains standing in silence with his face hidden under his hood. Observing the noble family's reaction, the elderly man analyzes the MC, thinking even he could not take down the guard that easily, questioning if the boy got lucky or is a monster. The defeated knight kneels before the elder, asking for another shot to fight the boy again. However, the noble elder attacks his own guard in anger to immediately cut off his insolence. The knight is sent flying back by the force of his master's scolding blow. The elder pulls back his magic power after punishing his subordinate for disrespecting the MC. Road simply watches the scene unfold with the shadow of his powerful servant looming right behind him. The noble elder coldly threatens the knight, warning he will be buried right there if he dares go after the youth again. He reflects in shock that RH used no mana and won purely through raw sword skill, something worthy of a true master. While Eleanor questions Road's identity, her grandfather begs out loud for the boy to show mercy. The respectable gentleman gives a humble bow, apologizing for his subordinate's inappropriate behavior. Road sees right through the old man's move, thinking he only held off from stepping in earlier because he wanted to test the MC's power. Next, the elder shouts an order for Knight Leon to step forward right away and ask the boy for forgiveness. Leon bows deeply before RH, begging for forgiveness and admitting he was wrong to offend him like that. The knight sweats cold in terror, thinking it was the first time anyone beat him without tricks. Using basic swordplay alone, the MC merely waves it off unbothered, replying, Everything is fine since he did not get hurt in that brief clash. The old man praises Road's flawless technique, asserting only a Grandmaster-level swordsman could do such a thing. Alelenar stares at RH's face in disbelief, wondering why her respected grandfather is calling that kid a senior. Road modestly replies, "It was pure luck, though he knows Bonecrown Spirit was indeed a legend in his prime." The old man lets out a loud laugh, commenting playfully that the young master is extremely humble for someone so powerful. The elder formally introduces himself as Igna Ashblade, head of his noble house, and introduces his granddaughter, Elelenar. Elelenar gives a respectful bow, offering sincere apologies to Road for being so rude to him earlier. Igna asks which faction he belongs to, secretly thinking a young genius like that must come from a very influential family. Road says he serves no faction, reminding them that the Ashblade family is a powerhouse in the north that his own family could never match. Igna is surprised he has no faction, starting to scheme a way to bring the young prodigy over to his family's side. Eleanor approaches friendly, asking Road if he is also inside the tomb, looking for a blessing from past heroes. Alelenar gets flustered by the boy's closeness while Road tries to answer politely and calmly. Suddenly, old man Igna begins coughing violently and painfully, drawing everyone's attention. Alelenar and the knight panic, rushing over to help the elder, who seems to be in awful shape. Spotting the dark energy surrounding the man, Road remarks that Lord Ashblade appears to be suffering under a dark curse. The guard begs for help, revealing they have consulted multiple powerful healers, but none could find the root cause of the illness. Alelenar cries, explaining her grandfather was ambushed by demons decades ago and has been suffering without a cure ever since. The MC deduces it is a plague of evil spirits sent by demons, something very few people know how to treat. Alelenar begs desperately, weeping hard and asking if he knows the cause. Does he also know how to cure her grandfather? The weakened elder tries to stay steady while his granddaughter keeps searching for a way out of his suffering. She makes a desperate promise, assuring him the influential Ashblade family will do anything our head asks if he saves her grandfather. Road considers the old man an admirable hero, happily concluding that for a seasoned necromancer, handling curses is child's play. Road comments calmly and confidently that curing the old man is no hard task for him. Alelenar and the knight break into massive smiles of relief, asking if he is truly serious. The MC confirms it, but explains that to cure the curse completely, he will need to prepare a few special items. Alelenar cries tears of pure joy, celebrating that her grandfather's awful sickness can finally be cured. Leon offers Road a communication device from their noble house, assuring they will supply everything he needs. The guard lets him know he will come pick him up personally once everything is ready, keeping line of contact open. RH takes the device, calmly agreeing to the plan they set up. Exiting the tomb, Road thinks the trip was worth it and that his power grew by summoning his servant, even if the spirit is weak. But the boy smiles with confidence, knowing that with his necromancer assistance, the servant will surely return to his peak. Suddenly, Scythe comes running up worriedly toward her brother upon seeing him finally exit the Tomb of Heroes. She approaches excitedly, asking which heroic spirit granted the blessing and what rank it was. The boy breaks into a cold sweat, realizing he completely forgot to make up an excuse since he cannot reveal his true gain. Right then, Leo approaches with a serious glare, commenting he cannot sense any blessing energy coming off Road. The older brother confronts him sternly, bringing up the steep price paid by the family to secure that rare opportunity. Disappointed, Leo sighs over what happened, saying he thought the boy had changed, but sees he is still the same failure as always. Road plays it off awkwardly, saying the heroes did not like him, but privately thinks his new servant is infinitely better than any blessing. Sif sadly suggests they head back home, while Road quietly prays his mother does not blow a fuse. As night falls on the mansion, an ear-splitting scream of rage echoes straight from the main hall. Della slams her hand on the dining table, fuming that, as expected, a good-for-nothing will always be a good-for-nothing. Facing the lecture about wasting money, the MC decides to stay quiet to avoid infuriating his mother any further. Della complains he did not try hard enough, ordering him to leave for the Magic Academy in a few days, so he stops embarrassing them at home. She walks off angrily, telling him not to come back unless forced to, claiming he ruined her appetite.